Down to question.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Roll call. Well.
Here.
O'Gorman.
Here.
Oldroyd. Waddy.
Here.
McLaughlin.
Here.
George.
Here.
Meyer. One absent, we have a quorum.
Do I have a move to adopt the agenda?
I move we had put at the agenda.
Aye.
And I will entertain closed session comments on the closed session agenda items per item. So I have Steve Burbank, did you want to speak on closed session item?
I do.
Okay.
We know when it goes to start countdown.
Okay.
On mark. Come up. Well, first thing I'd like to say is when you adopt an agenda, you ought to use spell check or have someone proofread it. I think it doesn't look good when you don't spell words right.
Okay.
It's my understanding that the superintendent is going to be asking for an extension on her contract. If this is so, put good money after bad. If she has a contract, let her honor the contract and then reevaluate it when that time comes. But jumping in the middle of a contract doesn't seem appropriate. It's also my understanding she's asking for a raise. I'd like to know if there's been any kind of evaluation of her, I guess you call it activity or job performance or however it goes. Has there been an evaluation? We don't know. Neither do I. Evaluation? Yes, no.
Yes, but not this year. Oh, sorry.
Point of order, I think this is this agenda item is comments from the floor and not intended to be a discussion topic.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, if you choose not to answer, that's on you. And think about it. So in an evaluation, you ought to look at the trust. Does this individual gain the trust of the teachers or lost the trust of the teachers? In the community, how does the community feel about an extension and or a raise? I think those are essential questions that one would ask when looking at this. And if a person has a contract, let her abide by that contract. Don't extend this. If it was ending today, I would say let it go. But it appears that it's lasting longer. So, you know, evaluate that when the time comes. But when people don't belong, they just don't belong. When people don't gain the trust of the community, they don't belong in the community. Thank you. I'll wait my 6 seconds. Let me know when it happens.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you speaking?
I just wanted to make a comment about the local plan that they had. First one was Zoom. I couldn't, it was in and out. It was terrible. You couldn't hear half of what was going on. So I went the next night and they had tables set up. There was no welcome. I thought to myself, that Jennifer George Lane had some lunches there, and there was no welcome to the few community people that were there. And I was waiting, and we were all waiting for the meeting to start. And we sat around and visited and whatever. It never did start. And then after we got through that, we said, well, when is the meeting going to start? And there's a table over there with sticky notes on it. Like our superintendent left the building, didn't say thank you for coming. And all I could think when I got home, this would have been so easy for her to come in and say, welcome, let's have a moment of silence for Texas, and act like a human being with a heart, I was I've been disappointed. This was sick. It was terrible. And she did, I don't know what it was about. It wasn't one right. It was a slap in the face to our people. And I myself felt bad for like Jennifer, all the other people that came out with material on the table, that was a lot of work for them to do. And then it was most disgusting event that I've ever been in all my life. It was terrible. I want you guys to think about that. She obviously has no respect for nobody. And I'm hearing that people are getting the message that works on a lot of people. So I urge, if we do extend, you guys do extend her contract, she keeps acting like this, she can walk out with our money, our kids' money. You'll have to pay her to leave. Please don't give her.
Okay.
About 6 times.
Well, I tell you, I had a lot of things to say about this superintendent evaluation take on your position that you're in. Superintendent Clark, I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just too easy to offer constructive criticism in your tenure so far. I come to you as your teacher, 4th grade elementary school teacher. And I've listened for a few beautiful moments of decades of experience in this community that should be definitely valued and honored. Not just because she's my mother, but definitely because she's been here in front of you more than, I would think, hour to hour, second to second, minute to minute, a lot of people in this community. When you hear her saying things like this, it is definitely valid. Mr. Burbeck, who served in this capacity, who served in this community with outstanding community service with his concerns as well. It's impossible to argue. Again, as your 4th grade teacher, I've talked to my colleague across the way, and hopefully she'll verify a closed session. I've asked for communication for some time, and it just goes upon deaf ears. And, it's turned into scenarios that should have and could have been prevented. We all, as professionals, understand the seriousness of communication. In order to get a raise, in order to be acknowledged in extension, even as a teacher, I would expect that I have to prove myself. I have to prove my worth. I have to prove that I'm capable you have to observe that in order for me to see that. I've never been observed by the superintendent. Very literally minutes, if not seconds, in our tenure together. I have the luxury of saying that I haven't been able to really watch her much either. I know the job I do. I'm in the trenches. I do what I do for your clients, for our kids. I do not see, in my opinion, my professional opinion, a need for an extension of this contract or even the thought of re-signing superintendent. I don't beg you, but I encourage you to really investigate in your evaluations. What has she done? How connected is she to your sites? I can't give you that, as I've said already in a previous meeting. I can't still, at this point, from meeting to meeting, I can't endorse you. I'm sorry. You haven't proven that. I encourage you folks. Listen to the decades of experience.
Thank you. I'm Jason Patis. I came here after 20 years of experience in the Arcata School District. I came here, I'm one of the people that came from the coast on purpose. I came here to stay. I didn't come here as a stepping stone. I want to retire here. I wanted to come here, and when I got here, I felt like I was home, welcomed by these people. I've loved every minute of my time in the classroom. This is my 27th year of teaching. However, the environment that has been created right now in our district has been the most uneasy that I've ever seen in my career. And I have to call on leadership from the top. It's coming from there. There are other issues down the line, I agree, but it lands on our leadership. I represent others. I know I represent others right now. The masses that, for whatever reason, don't come up here and speak. And I want to respect them as well. I can say without reservation, I'm representing them right now. I promise you. My year, this year, in the staff room and talking to people and trying to help out new teachers and talking to older teachers, more experienced teachers, excuse me. They are echoing what I'm telling you. This year is a struggle for us because it is a hostile work environment. We don't trust that our district has our back. When my esteemed colleagues are being harassed, we don't feel safe. And we're talking about the most respected teachers on our campus. Not to mention, during a pandemic, we ran off our school nurse. What are we doing? I ask to answer this gentleman's question. Does she have our trust? The answer is respectfully no. Please consider that today. Thank you.
I started going to board meetings when my daughter, who is now 37, was in preschool. I went for 11 years straight. Didn't matter if it was a birthday, an anniversary, anything. I wanted this school to be the place where she could grow up, where my son then could grow up and be proud and be respected. Like I was when I went to school here. I had good teachers. I had good administrators. I had Jerry Nobles. I had Todd Clark. I had Doug Olvera. I would even take Mr. Johns at this point. That didn't work. was a teacher that felt threatened by my daughter's presence. So we moved. We came back because this is our home. This is our home. This is where my ancestors came from. Up the river and down the river. I, in my inexperienced, I guess, uneducated way, have done an evaluation of what I've seen over the last few years since we have been home. We've been home for 11 years now, 12 years. It is still isn't the place that I went to school in. We continue to have great basketball teams that get a lot of community support. We continue to have great softball teams that have community support, but we don't seem to have the support of our administration and the support of the teachers that we had at that time. In my evaluation, I see what happened with Maggie Peters. I see what happened with Angie Brown, and I watched what happened and is continuing to happen with my brother. I see bullying by administrative staff, not only to me as a community member by limiting how long I can speak, which is ridiculous. You say you want our input, but you're going to give me a small allotted time. You say you want my input, but you have a Zoom meeting that most of the community can't connect to. You say you want our input, but you don't welcome your teachers at the beginning of the school year. You say you want our input. You don't acknowledge our public in a meeting. You don't want our input, but you're going to get it anyway. You earn a raise. You get respect from a raise. You don't bully people. You don't disrespect people. You don't take away a school nurse in a pandemic. Smarter? I don't know. Don't do it. Don't extend a contract. Don't get a raise. That is my humble evaluation.
Thank you, Tina.
Say don't lie. Oh, yes, and don't lie.
Wes, is your comment on this same?
Yes, it is.
thread?
Yeah, we put 4 minutes left on it.
Okay, so Wes,
Well, Becky, Wes Crawford, teacher, community member, recently for 51 years now, so I know it's hard to believe. What brought me here today was I evaluate, I think of everything that's going on. I don't know if you do, but I was off about 2.5 months of medical leave caused by stress at the workplace. Young man threatened to bring a gun and blow my head off, and my administrator said he'll write an apology note. So I don't think protocol was followed there. I talked to a ACLU lawyer who said, go get him. I chose not to. Maybe some of you are first hearing about this. Protocol wasn't followed. It got me thinking about my administrator and our superintendent. Both come to us with what I determine as limited experiences as leadership people and the roles that they have. With that, hey, that's what we get. As far as I know, doesn't equate to a raise. On-job training doesn't equal that. She's learning her job. She's learning this district. How well she's doing that is up to you. We've heard from community members. We've heard from teachers. So that's that. I hold the same opinion of our principal, who was a principal at a very small school and he's put in charge of the biggest school in the district. I question that. Another thing I want to speak to before my time's up is I got 26 years in the district. And this is the first year I thought, when can I retire? When can I get the hell out of here? Due to the current environment. It's not fun. It's not easy. I told my vice principal one day, I said, you need to go talk to a colleague of mine because he just jokingly said he'd like to just take a gun and shoot himself since the job is getting so difficult. Did that come to your attention? Probably not. Fact of the matter is we have probably 5, 6, 7 of us native teachers. We worked hard to get native. She pushed me to class. I'm old. We have them here. What's changed? I'm saddened by it. If I look back and reflect, like when we were young and gung ho, man, we're going to do it. We're going to get this done. What have we done? I have great friendships and relationships with 1,000 people in this community who I've taught. But those same people are ready to leave this profession. And then what do you have? And if you're the board and you're controlling her, telling her what to do. Here.
Do you have any discussion on number 1? On public employment, transportation? Oh, Erica? I'm sorry.
Yeah, mine is on 1 and 2.
What is number 1?
That is public employee, the hiring. Yeah, hiring, employment transfers, resignation. We actually don't have any disciplinary release.
I only have one comment on the, our following year. From what I'm hearing, we have two people that might not be here next year, and we need to start looking for high school principal. And from what I'm hearing from everybody, that we may be looking for a elementary. If everybody's wishes go well, we may be looking for a principal for the elementary. Because I think he might get through under the bus because he started thinking for himself. And so I think we should be done, but I don't, that's my take. But we should start looking, that's what my point is.
Erica?
Hello, everyone. Erica Tracy, Education Director for the Hoopa Valley Tribe. I did have a comment, I think, that's related to both 1 and 2. I did not know until today, as I was leaving tribal consultation meeting, that I do think went well as a rip the Band-Aid off, but I'm glad that we have a follow-up because there's so much more that we need to actually get into. But I was not aware that we are looking at having to fill a vacancy for a high school principal. I see that on the agenda now. I missed it when I saw the agenda before, but I am concerned. I am also concerned if there is the hiring season is flashing before us. And I think this happens to us every year. And I can't seem to understand how our system allows this to happen, where we are scrambling for teachers, scrambling for administrators till the final hour, most of the time when others have already signed. I can tell personal experience of a family member who applied last year. And you know, the position was fine. He applied. I don't think he had an interview in July or August, and he had cohort members also fresh out of a credential program that said, I can't wait, buddy. But he wanted to live here and work here. And so he did hold out. He knew there were vacancies. But that is all to say that if we do not get things moving and a system that is shifted in a better direction for recruitment and also retention of our teachers, we're not going to have any. Same with administrators. So I am concerned about that. Just trying to figure out ways to take note of everything that's being said, because many people have said many things for many meetings at this point. I think we had conversations months ago at this point where people are coming and repeating the same thing. And so I'm really hoping that at one of these meetings, the light bulb is going to turn on for us and you will hear us and understand that there are concerns of where the district is right now. I've heard from some of our teachers, some of who were my teachers, more than one, who are talking about this is probably the worst year of their career. And I hope that the board hears that and understands that we have to fix something, that something needs to be fixed. And so what are those fixes? I don't exactly know. That's for your expertise. But I can tell you that I am hopeful that you will do an honest evaluation of what has and has not been done. I would also urge you to look at not only what has or hasn't been done, but also how things have been done, because we can pinpoint different accomplishments that have happened and continue to happen, but who is actually responsible for those doings? Is it because as a tribal consultation, you finally believed me after the letter came out from the Department of Education in 2016? We are finally having tribal consultation this year, that we are meeting with tribes in a different way. That's not because of an individual staff member of the district. That's because we're finally coming into compliance with policy. Similarly, I think that if there are other things that are happening, whether it be in the business office or on the ground in teachers' classrooms, and some of the success stories that there are things to celebrate, but who is responsible for those things? Who gets to say that they put in the hard work to do those things? I don't know how much of it is coming from directly here at the top. So I hope that we can look at that and find ways to support it, fix it, and make this a place that I can recruit people to. If we can find other teachers, other administrators that want to work here, it's really hard to tell people, yes, come to our district. Right now, today, I have people saying, oh, I'd love to sub someday. How is the district? How do I honestly answer that at this point in time? I want to say that our district is awesome, that our kids are amazing, and they are amazing, but am I going to actively recruit people to come to a hostile work environment like was stated? So I hope that those are all taken into consideration today. Cynthia, I don't think I have a timer and I really appreciate it, but for
It's almost up.
Okay. Just the LCAP meeting. I did want to reiterate what Ms. Donna relayed, that I did not get to participate on Zoom on Wednesday, but I did get to participate in person on Thursday. I loved the tables. I thought it was great that there was all of this information that we could grab and touch and hold and flip through, but there was no opportunity to engage with it. I did not have a platform to be able to say, here are our goals. Here are some of the suggestions we're thinking of. Is this a good idea? Are these good, uses of resources? There was no option for dialogue whatsoever. So I know that we're trying, but we can still do so much better. And I'm really hoping that some of our board members that were here when we went through those complaint processes for stakeholder, it's the same thing. We're still doing the same thing, and I'm not understanding why we're not able to create those systematic changes to allow for meaningful input of not just tribes, but also community members and parents alike. So progress, but there's still so much more work to be done.
We also need to hire the right way.
Yes, and hiring. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Real quick, I will sit down, but hiring. I have been invited to multiple hiring committees as IPP, in compliance with IPP, and I'm thankful for that. However, there has also been a very, I will get one, I block my schedule, then later find out that it's for an interview that was scheduled for 2:30. I then got the invitation that said it's at 3:30. I could not move it. So I think just being respectful of our tribal representatives to participate in those interviews is critical and crucial, especially for some of these key positions in the district. PE interview teacher, I was ready to sit on that interview panel. It was then canceled and to my knowledge, not rescheduled. So what is our process for follow-up to make sure that we are not in a world of hurt come next school year when we have still so many vacancies? But we do want to participate in those hiring processes.
And not to bypass impact aid and
Yes.
hire without following the proper guidelines. We said it.
Kim, do you have a comment on our agenda items? Closed session agenda items?
Yes,
Okay,
so I have 4 things I want to talk about. One, I want to offer my support to the 2 board members who are not just forging ahead with just giving the superintendent a raise. I would like to ask that we have an evaluation process. Our superintendent and any of the administrators, so that when you go into closed session, you at least have something that came from us and what we're experiencing. So I would like you to do that before you make any decisions. I think it's the least you can do is to listen. Number 2, the union has been waiting for some documentation so that Mr. Matilton can decide whether he wishes to pursue something further, but we are not getting the same kind of documentation that we need. It's been taking a long time. I just want you to be aware that we are asking for it, and the documentation does not apply, but I don't feel that that is what should be somebody's decision. I think that should be Mr. Matilton's decision to make based on what he decides from the documentation. So we're asking that Jen provide the documentation that he requested so he can decide if he wants to proceed with the grievance or not. And it has to do with whether the contract was followed and whether board policy was followed, not about his letter. So we need those documentation. We have not received those yet, and we're being denied. He's being denied. Also, I have been in contact with Jen and with HCOE about having a TK class at Hoopa L, and it just did not get off the ground for whatever reason, but I am going through TK certification this summer. I fully expect to have a TK class on Hoopa L campus soon. We're not having one. We need one. We do 24 units, extra units on top of being a full-time teacher. And last for 3 days, actually 2 days, 9.5 hours of leave. It happened to fall right before Christmas. It was time sensitive. So I put it in, my immediate supervisor approved it. So between October and December, when I actually took off, was like 7 weeks. In that time, I was under the impression that I had the approval to go. When I get back on January 18th, I received a letter saying it's been denied because I didn't get superintendent approval. But in my contract, it doesn't say that. It says superintendent may approve. So what I'm asking you is to please tell her to please approve my document, my leave doc, because I don't feel that I should not have been allowed to take that. I went to move my child from Hawaii, which some of you may have an issue with, but that's where she was going to college. Anyway, I was there 3 days. 1 day travel, 1 day pack, FedEx stuff back, 1 day travel back. That's all it was. So I just want to make it clear, it was not an extended vacation. I was there for 3 days. Have my pay put back in my paycheck because she said leave without pay. And I don't feel that's right. I have 10 days. I should be allowed to do something that's time sensitive to move my child. Granted, she's an adult, but I'm still her mom. Thank you.
okay, so we're in a special meeting, so the public comment on closed session items should be specific to the closed session items that we're discussing. So we had Tina, is yours on a closed session?
I don't believe it is. I think perhaps if I should talk after closed session.
Okay, all right. And Aaron, is yours on a closed session?
I would consider it. It has been a really stressful year this year. Okay? The way I see things are guided from the top down. And right now there's lack of communication, there's lack of support, there's lack of, we have a reading program in place. There's really no overall examining this program. I can't speak to other schools, I can only speak for UPL. However, we have data and we have this team for data. However, what's missing on that data is how many teachers are out, how many kids are getting shuffled around, and what are we doing about that as part of this SFA program? We also have attendance. We call it lack of staffing, but it's still a directive that should come from, if I'm sitting up here, I'm gonna say, overall, looking at our attendance for the last 20 years, I know that we've always been in the 89, 90, 92, 93% tile for attendance, and we've always had a goal of increasing that to 96%. That goal has never been achieved. However, when we start looking at this kind of stuff that is pushed from the top down, we're not hearing anything of that. Right now, we have kids that we've never even spoke to, that are in our school, and this is all year long. So when we're talking about top down, this stuff all flows downhill. And so as we're working in the school system, and we do have a lack of staffing, so we're subbed in here. However, we're still missing the piece of our attendance, our reading, our support, our discipline. We have teachers that I'm not going to write a kid because it doesn't go nowhere. As administrators, that is the data that needs to be examined. What is going on in these classrooms? What is going on in this campus? What's the attendance? What is our reading? How many kids are at level? How many kids are not? What are we doing? How many teachers are out? How many kids are being shuffled around when we don't have this reading program? How many days have we missed of this reading program? And so that's all data that needs to be looked at, because when you guys are sitting there, you're going to hear, oh, we got this team that is looking at our data. We have 40 kids that are at grade level. Well, not really nothing to shake about. I'm glad we have, but we should have a lot more kids in that. We just came out of the pandemic. However, when we start looking at overall the driving force, I'm sorry, but I don't see that driving force. I see us showing up to work. I see us going through crisis, and basically we survived till the end. And now we got 2 weeks of school left, 2.5. But it's like, I haven't seen this all year. And, this is something that it concerns me, because as I stand up here, I'm looking at my colleagues coming to you saying, hey, we have these issues. And I'm saying, hey, we have these issues. I've never seen it like this before. And so, we call it a lack of not being in a bigger school, or, the lack of on-the-job training, or, but, coming in, you got to have a goal. The goal is to raise attendance. The goal is to raise reading scores. The goal is to do all this stuff. I haven't seen anything. I've not seen a plan. I've not seen anything to try and achieve that. I just thought you guys should get care of that. Went through the trenches as well as my colleagues here. So, thank you.
Good job.
Chairwoman McLaughlin, if that was on the closed agenda, can I follow up with something?
Yes.
What's important?
Can I have 3 minutes?
Yes.
I'm going to give you 3 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone. My name is Miss Tina West. I teach 3rd grade at Hoopa Elementary School. And I am here following on that same idea of just, we do have low morale in our school, and we know that stress people get sick easier. I myself have been nursing a cold for longer than what I normally would have. And I feel it's because tensions are high, and we want to have a safe, supportive environment to teach and work in. I wanted to bring to your attention that at the County Office of Education, you can fill out one form and submit your fingerprints and be able to be on the sub list for the entire coastal community. Northern Humboldt School District, Arcata School District, all those school districts are interfaced through our Humboldt County Office of Education. So if a teacher turns in their sub application there, they don't have to do other things. Are you aware that Klamath Trinity Joint Unified School District is completely different and has additional steps that you need to take in order to become a sub in our school district? I'm seeing some of you shake your head, and I'm seeing some of you kind of like, oh, I didn't know that. Want to bring that to your attention. I also really encourage you to create a directive or a guiding light for our personnel department to streamline with the county so that we can collect subs. People going to different classrooms, that would be eliminated. Having to cancel our Success for All program, that would be eliminated. Teachers would not have to, be so worried or stressed of what's going to happen to my class if I'm sick. None of my teachers and my coworkers are slackers. Nobody's staying home because they just need a petty that day. We're all super hard workers and we want to be there for our kids, but there's legitimate reasons why we're absent. And if you would please streamline our substitute and make it easier for us to have subs, that would be greatly appreciated. And I also want to encourage you to think about, I would like you to implement a higher pay raise for the subs so that they can be compensated for the hard day. I mean, the challenges are different now than they were 3 years ago. Now you're surrounded with a bunch of kids and the possibility of COVID, or our kids they're not only behind academically, they're behind socially. So it's a bigger job than what it used to be to come in and sub for a day. So compensating our subs, and then also considering having a gas voucher that's tied in. If you are coming from more than 30 miles away, that there would be an additional funding there for those subs. Our teachers deserve to be able to take a sick day and know that our kids are being cared for. Our parents want to know that their kids are not going to get split up into different classes, and you have the power to do something about that by streamlining our sub and increasing the pay. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are going to go into closed session. Can we take our whole hour? Do we have to do longer? Okay, so we have a pretty good agenda, and we're probably going to be there for an hour. So the board meeting probably won't open back up at 6 o'clock, like it says.
We'll wait.
Could I ask that if you foresee that you're gonna go an hour longer, that somebody bounce out, just kind of give us an idea?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to just add one comment before you guys go in. Think about our students. What's happening to our teachers is very stressful. But think about our students. I was reading this book. Our children, when they go through stress, it don't go away. And as they grow older, and stress comes when they're young, and our kids are getting overfed with stress. When they become my age, they'll probably have heart condition, diabetes, and whatever, because that's already starting right now with our babies. You guys need to think about our babies. They're going to have health issues if we don't make them happy.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have to step out.
Okay.
And
We're losing the bottom six. I think it's over. You gotta get the final. Yeah, we can give you final score. Yeah, that was
Carmen,
fine.
can you heard and tell David that David, we're going into closed session, so I can text you when we're back on.
I think we're live streaming still.